All right, thank you everyone from around the world for joining us today for HRCAP's 2026 Go ACE Global Online AI Career Expo Expert Sessions. As part of the 2026 Go ACE event, HRCAP has invited selected industry leaders, innovators, and subject matter experts to share practical insights, industry expertise, and real-world experiences with our global audience. Each session is designed to connect expert perspectives with the needs of global professionals, emerging talent, hiring organizations, and business leaders, helping them stay informed, develop relevant skills, and make better career and business decisions. We are very excited to have Judith Bueving with us for today's session. As a global transformation strategist and the host of the Change Chat podcast, Judith will lead the Human Edge, navigating the new era of human AI collaboration, sharing critical insights on how AI augments rather than replaces human work. From understanding the concepts and efficiency of mastering AI, she'll also dive into the skills that matter most when technical tasks are automated and how rising professionals can confidently own these early in their careers. We have collected several pre-submitted questions from our audience, and we'll have a brief Q&A session following Judith's presentation. If you have any questions during the session, please feel free to leave them in the chat, and we'll do our best to address them. So with that being said, Judith, thank you for joining us today, and please take it away.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank you as well for the invitation to speak. I'm really excited to be here today. So my talk, Hi Humans, that's the first thing that I wanted to say, because the fact that you're watching right now and that we have so many signups implies that there is still a market out there for humans to be employed. Now, of course, I cannot deny the big elephant in the room, and that is the AI workforce, which is both Gen AI and agentic AI as I go through my talk, and how we should collaborate as humans and also think through the skills that are in demand and are important to continue to develop so we can augment this collaboration. Human X AI collaboration is what I will be covering during today's talk. My name is Judith Bueving. I am a global transformational business leader, and I've spent about the last 1.5 years, I would say, focusing amongst others on AI adoption at scale at large enterprises. And I always focus on the human side of the transformation. I've done a lot of different types of transformation, so tech implementations. I've done M&A, employee experience programs, onboarding programs. But the core is always, how do we move humans from situation A to situation B? And for today's presentation, I like to move beyond the hype and the fear and provide some practical skills, because I do think that the narrative is still framed around AI in the workforce as a zero-sum game, human versus machine. But from what I have seen, from deploying AI at scale and how humans use it, and also how they value it, the future is not about displacement, but it's about augmentation. And I really like to look with you together into how can you future-proof your career with some of the skills that are hot right now. As we go through this presentation, I like you to think about one thing, and that is that AI is a function to enhance human capabilities and not to replace it. So over the next 20 minutes, we will be looking together at how to build the collaborative future. And we will be looking at a framework that I developed as part of it, so where I see the different layers intertwine, human and AI, and also 6 skills that I think are going to be crucial for you to think about as you're going through the job applications and hiring. And then I also will be sharing some change management recommendations based on the experience that I've had implementing AI in the large enterprises. But to start off today, I like to set the stage here a little bit. And I think that for today's discussion, the first thing that we need to think about and look at is see the core reality of our current market. So organizations that are right now looking at the AI landscape generally fall into one of these 2 paradigms that you see here. And the choice that they make does dictate their growth trajectory. So, on the left side, what you see is a traditional mindset of pure automation. And here, this paradigm treats AI purely as a tool for task deletion and headcount reduction. And it's really thinking about, okay, how can I optimize talent and primarily optimize it out of the equation, right? So it's about replacement. If you look at the other paradigm, and that's what we will be going into today, it's about work augmentation. And in this mindset, we view AI as an expansion of human capability. And here, talent is treated as the ultimate value driver. So instead of thinking about deleting roles, we're thinking, how can we enhance roles? And yes, we are outsourcing some tasks to AI to, for example, handle the operational floor. But we're also freeing up time for professional to scale other skills, strategic execution, tapping into new business ventures, or having more room for creative brainstorming. And I think that when companies shift their mindset from automation to augmentation, you stop looking for ways to eliminate people, and instead you start looking for ways to multiply their impact and also their skills. So I like to illustrate this with an example. And you might have seen this as well in the news. There is a this is an automation versus augmentation story, and it's about two companies, Salesforce and IKEA, and both with a significant customer representative department. And as we know, customer representative departments, many queries can be automated and answered through AI agents. I'm sure you've had it as well in your daily life when you had an issue with a product or a question, right? But it's about what happens after they've automated these departments, where we can see, okay, what can augmentation do and what can automation do? So with Salesforce, reps were laid off, institutional knowledge was gone, and it's very expensive to hire the same folks back or even look for different talents. But with IKEA, what they did is they tapped into enhancing the human capabilities and skills that were already there. And when we're thinking about customer representatives, they build up relationships with customer over the years. They have a lot of product knowledge. And with that product knowledge as well, they would get questions like, okay, does this couch fit into my living room? But also, actually, would I like this couch in my living room? What would it look like? And with that, a new idea was born. So, what IKEA decided to do was let's upscale or rescale these customer representatives into a new business line, and they scaled them into remote interior designers. And the result was $1.4 billion into new revenue, which is a number that I had to fact check myself a couple of times, but that is really what the number is. And so I think this is a story that we see playing out in the market where augmentation over automation wins. Now, this is just an example, right? I cannot guarantee that this absolutely works 100% of the time, but there is also theory and data behind this. And economists call this the innovation J curve, and I think it illustrates the critical choice that we face today. So in the graph, you see the dotted line, which represents displacement strategy. Companies use AI simply to cut heads and reduce immediate costs. And yes, it does give a quick spike in efficiency, but then it just starts to hit a hard ceiling. And as the example with Salesforce, right, you delete human roles, but you also delete institutional knowledge, and you could have used that institutional knowledge to scale. Now, when we look at the solid line, where you combine human intelligence with AI functions, that's where organizations do have a dip. And that's the dip where they invest their time to educate, rescale, transition their people from A to B, which takes effort, right? But then look at the payoff. That line is just going up and up and up and up. And I think that once the workforce learns to stir the technology, and for all of you out here as well looking for jobs, actively working on steering AI, you will break through that old ceiling. And so I think with that, you unlock exponential augmented growth for the company, but also for yourself, that automation or fearing automation can just not reach. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about how to actually operationalize this, right? So we understand the strategic value of augmentation. And in this framework that I will go through, we're looking at both Gen AI and agentic AI, because that's where mature companies are playing right now, and they're deploying both simultaneously. And then some companies are deploying one over the other. But bringing it back to you, how do we actually divide the labor between, on the one hand, the human professional, and then on the other hand, the artificial intelligence? And what are some of the hottest skills that you should think about as you go into your interviews and prepare for your next steps? So, to answer this, I developed the Human AI Coexistence Framework, which is based on my work and my research in the AI and change management space. And there will be 3 different layers, and I will start with the first one. And this one includes the Gen AI and agentic AI. And I like to look at both. So for Gen AI, this is the passive content engine. You can see it as a functional processing floor. It handles the manual, repetitive sorting and pulling of data that really, at no speed, humans can match. And then as the organization matures, you have agentic AI, which is also an engine, but it's an autonomous execution engine. So you have agents operating. They can independently plan multi-step workflows. They're also able to self-correct. They're also able to hit corporate milestones by themselves. However, this layer is not where it stops, right? This is where you come in. You interact with the technology. And what this requires from us is prompting, guidance output, right? Output validation, putting agents to work, being able to oversee them, putting boundaries in place when needed. For example, when I prepared my talk today, I used AI as well. I used it as my conversational partner and co-creator. So more of the generative AI component. And we worked together on drafting the structure of this talk, pulling sources that I did check and verified independently, and also drawing some of the amazing resources that my own company has as well in their own AI tool. And to be honest with you, it gives me time to give more of these kind of talks because it actually requires me less time to find some of the data, do some of the research, and create scripts and slides. So with that, I like to say AI is powerful, but, and this was me being in the loop here, it does require me to ensure accuracy and relevance of some of the sources that I pulled. In the case of agentic AI, supervising the agents and the work distribution, and then also the energy, right? And the human to human interaction that we're having right now to actually bring that information over to you. So then the last layer, which is totally about us, it's the human cognition layer. And this is the high value ceiling. So it belongs entirely to us. And some of the really important, deeply, uniquely human skills are strategic intuition, cross-functional empathy, also contextual judgment, right? It's like, what is the system that you're operating in, the enterprise? What are the different departments? What is your company trying to sell? What are the different stakeholder fields, right? That is something that AI is not able to do. That makes you uniquely human, and that's what you also are bringing to the table. So I really want you to look through this lens, and I like you to take away that AI does not replace your job, but it does filter out the operational noise and then lift us professional up to do other things. Okay, so thinking about, okay, but then what are some of those other things, right? What are some of the skills that will make me irreplaceable in the age of AI? I have 6 as I see them right now, and I will go through them step by step. And the first one is problem framing and prompting. And I put them together, and the first one very much on purpose, because what is it that you're trying to solve for? You need to be able to put into words what your problem is. And this is not something that just comes easily. You need to think about it and not just, hey, can you write this? Can you give me this information? Solve for that. Okay, so problem statement, very, very important, and framing that problem. But then once you know as well what your desired outcome is, you need to be able to get there. And that's where your fluency in prompting becomes really, really important. Then the second one is AI fluency. And I on purpose did not put literacy, but fluency. I think there's a difference, right? With literacy, you can think about all the different tools, you can do some prompts. But fluency is okay, I have different AI tools that I can use for different problems. How do I use them? What can I do, right? And what you see right now in many jobs postings across industry is that they require not only the familiarity with AI tools, but they also need you to understand how to work with them and connect different ones with each other. I'm also here to give you a positive insight on this because I know that there is fear, especially for entry level jobs, that companies are decreasing how much they hire. But there are also companies, and that's the other side of the coin, that are extensively hiring for entry level roles because they are looking for those AI skills and they feel that people in entry level jobs are way more fluent than their current workforce. So they are actually over indexing on those skills. Okay, the third one, systemic orchestration. This is more about the agentic AI, right? So you direct the outcome to the agent, and the agent or the agents do the work, but you are still there to be able to put all those outcomes together. So it's working with different departments or different stakeholders in your company. You need to be able to see the bigger picture and then go back to those agents and ask for different works or maybe make adjustments along the way. So another one that is very, very important. The fourth one, verification and critical thinking. So you have those outcomes. You need to make sure that you verify the work, look at it from different angles. And I think that this one is very much overlooked, or like, yeah, of course, like I'm doing the critical thinking, I'm doing the verification, but are you fact checking your sources, for example, right? Is the right data in your system? Is it clean data into your system, right? Are processes that are underlying it set up correctly? And again, like in preparing for this talk, right, there are some sources that I pulled. I will ask, as a true millennial, still Google if they can just source the actual source and understanding where it comes from and actually still go to the article. You can also ask AI, what's your confidence level in claiming this, this, and this, right? Is it 70%, 80, 95? And what you can also do is making sure that you use different AI tools to counter argument what you found. So just some little tips and trips on, okay, how can I do the verification and critical thinking within the AI tools? The fifth one, creative thinking. So today is a form of creative thinking for me. I worked greatly with AI to build this presentation today, and it helped me with structure and pulling sources and another AI tool to help with slides. But injecting the human narrative, being able to present this to you, answering your questions, examples from my experience and the experience of others as well, because I did test some of this with my close peers, is really where the creativity flows in. And then I like to talk about the last one, and that is my favorite one, and that's continuous learning. This is the skill ultimately that makes all the other skills possible, right? So I just put 6 skills out here that I think are super relevant today, but I don't know some of the future skills that are coming, right? But if you adopt this skill now and understand that this is pivotal in the rest of your career, there will be many, many job opportunities out there for you. So, just thinking about as we're drawing today's masterclass to a close, I do think it's important to think about where does the real transformation succeeds or fails. And this does start with the enterprise and with executive change leadership, right? That is where it starts with the company. So, for some of the hiring companies listening in, and also for you, job seekers, as you take into account how your future company goes about it, I have some recommendations based on what I have seen. Um, so, resistance. I think in any change management and transformation that you're getting, there is always resistance amongst employees. And my very first tip is address what is making people resistant. And in AI implementation in enterprises, there is a lot of corporate anxiety. And it's different forms of corporate anxiety, right? It's intellectual anxiety. Am I training my replacement by doing this? There is systemic mistrust. Can I trust this machine's output? And also tool fatigue. So it's just yet another tool that I need to learn. And I think the general and easiest answer to this is just be transparent as a corporate around where we are heading, what's expected of people, what are the benefits, and how do we get there together. Yes, there will also be uncomfortable questions around replacing or augmenting, but I really think that once you gain the trust, you can also turn it into corporate curiosity. And I do really think that the example that I showed of IKEA is a great example that shows that. Then the second one is psychological safety. That's what I see a lot right now. So, is there time, is there room, and is there space to experiment, right? Specific example from what I've seen in companies is there's a lot of KPIs, of course, that you need to meet and that you're being a standard for, right? But when you are rolling out AI and you're asking people to work with it, people actually do need some time to experiment. They learn, and they should not be penalized for then the KPIs that are not able to commit to as a result of it. But thinking about the innovation curve, you will see that there is the initial dip, but then eventually again it will go up. And then the last one, and I'm looking at all of the job seekers here as well, be an enthusiast, be a bright spot in your organization. So, setting up a change network, which is a network of people that really believe in it and can teach others and spread the enthusiasm, and that can be at any layer, that is what will really help AI be embedded into your business processes and reach for that augmentation of the company, right? And that's also, if you have enthusiasts on your side, it really helps with building trust. So, as we tie today's masterclass, I like to tie our entire journey together. And what I've covered today is I think true transformation in this field requires moving first from a company perspective, but also for you, like think positively, right? It's a mindset from pure automation to a strategy of work augmentation, right? And in practice, this means leveraging Gen AI for content and agentic AI for autonomous execution. And then our unique human skills, intuition, empathy, seeing the bigger picture and systems thinking and connecting all of that. We've also talked about the 6 essential skills that you as professional can take into account as you're going through the job application process and the interviewing process. And then, and I really like to give this back to the enterprises as well. Think about from a change management lens how you can address anxiety and build psychological safety for AI experimentation and activating that peer-to-peer AI champion network. I really think that when you align these, you will unlock the exponential growth for your company and also for all of you listening in, looking for a job for yourself as well. So I really want to thank you so much for your time today. And I really wish you an incredible experience here. And I would love to connect on LinkedIn. Tune into my podcast, Change Chats, as well. That's where I talk more, especially about change management in different transformations. And I really think the future is bright and positive, and let's continue to build the augmented era together. And yeah, thanks a lot. I would love to take some Q&A right now.
Thank you, Judith. for that insightful presentation and for equipping our audience with practical guidance on how AI can really augment human potential and the skills professional need for their future of work. So we will now move into our Q&A session. We have received several questions from our audience in advance, and we'll begin with those first. If anyone else has any additional questions, please feel free to submit them in the chat, and we'll do our best to address them as time allows. So, just for the first question, you mentioned there's 6 skills, right, that professionals do need, but just those are more for technical tasks. But what if you wanted to continue on or just explain 2 to 3 more human-centric skills you think would be more valuable within the next 5 years? What do you think those would be?
Yeah, so very insightful question. I think, and reason that I'm here today as well, I think one is positivity, right? Like have a positive outlook on the future. There is a lot of noise out there around AI, but it opens up so many doors and opportunities for you and I, and even like things that we might not be thinking about. So cut out the noise, be positive, and think about where it can take you rather than where it could limit you. So I think that is one. And then spread that enthusiasm, right? That's what I was saying about the change agent network. Like in a company, be a true believer in AI and help other people as well that might be struggling or might not have that positivity at the moment. I think two other ones as well. I think resilience is a really important one. I don't think it's easy for people coming into the job market right now because of all of that noise. And sometimes I want to be realistic, it's hard to tune that out. But just know that we have the AI boom. But before this, we had many other events, right? We had the financial crisis, we had the dot-com boom, we had COVID. There will always be something that's influencing the market or influencing jobs. And being able to deal with it when things are challenging and help others as well. And again, be positive about the future, I think are deeply human skills that will help you getting through any of these things. I also think human interaction is really important. So I do notice also for myself, there is a lot of different AI tools that I use for my work. But at the same time, it's still really important to be connected to people in your company. So make a conscious effort to keep working on the human interaction, because at the end of the day, those are the ones that you need to convince. You don't necessarily need to convince AI to do something or buy your product or, yeah. So would say those 3 things: positivity, resilience, and human interaction.
Perfect. Thank you. So, kind of continuing along those lines, you mentioned in your presentation, some professionals, they could be worried that AI could somewhat be replacing of their jobs, right? So, how can individuals position themselves to stay relevant and competitive in an AI-driven workplace? I know you said one of your favorite skills was about continuous learning. So, kind
Yeah.
of about if you wanted to, how would people be able to, apply this continuous learning to stay relevant?
Yeah, so continuous learning. I think a lot of companies are they are constantly investing in that. I haven't actually come across companies that have not. So companies typically have their own learning programs that they do. It's either, and it caters to the needs of people as well, right? It's like longer learning days, short courses, but there's also a lot of free resources out there, right? You have LinkedIn Learning. I know for AI specifically, Anthropic came out with a prompting 101 specifically. And not saying that people that are listening right now need to develop that skill specifically, but there are so many resources out there. And I would also say not to overwhelm yourself. It doesn't have to be big, right? It can just start with 5 minutes a day. So I think that's really important. It's also good to take that continuous learning skill into the workplace or into meetings. So I know that some teams around me, what they do is AI Monday, and during their meeting, what they do is someone for 5 minutes will just go through a skill or a prompt that have changed some of the work that they were doing, and then they share it with other people. So that's another form of continuous learning. I think the other thing is, and this goes back to being positive, but also looking forward, is AI is here to stay, right? So think about how can I stay with it, and then really think for the industry or specifically like what you're applying for, like what are some of the uniquely valuable skills that I'm here to bring, and what are some skills that I really need to learn on. There's tons of articles out there that can help you with that, and just yeah, be prepared as you prepare for your interviews as well. I would say in that sense, yeah.
Kind of transitioning on, you've led transformation projects, with different teams and regions, and you mentioned you gave some change management recommendations, right? You gave three of them. But just what are some common mistakes organizations make when trying to implement AI and change initiatives globally?
Yeah, I think it goes back to they're seeing AI as a tool rollout rather than an entire systemic transformation that goes way beyond just the company. It's affecting everything, also in society, right? And I think it really then underestimates the change management efforts that are required to take people along. As I mentioned, there are high levels of different types of corporate anxiety I've seen more than around any other tool rollout. And again, it's not just a tool rollout, and it's about not addressing some of the fears that people have. So, is it going to replace me or is it going to augment me? And so I think it's really important for companies to be transparent about that and start building that trust, right? And it doesn't always have to be the super positive, like, yeah, like we're not replacing. Like you can say there are ways that we're looking to replace, and we're also looking for this and this. Are you on for the journey, right? So it's good to be transparent and to not sleep on that for too long and think too long about the perfect message that you want to bring out. Um, I think the other thing that I've seen is give time and space for training and for time for people to experiment. There are people that are super quick and like they hop on the bandwagon and they know how to work with it. There's also a really big portion of the workforce that doesn't have the time, they don't have the space, or they're afraid to even put out there that they might not have the skills right now that are actually required. And then the last thing that I would say is role models are really important in the organization. And I think in the junior layer of the organization, people are way more fluent in AI than in the top. And so what I've seen quite a bit is that it lacks in the top to have good examples, and you really need the examples to get others on board. So yeah, they're the three things that I've seen, and not necessarily targeted to one specific country, but definitely globally. Yeah.
Okay, great. And due to time, for our final question, just
Mhm.
for some professionals who are not in technical roles, right? What are some practical ways they can start leveraging AI today to improve their productivity and career growth?
So I am not in a super technical role, right? And I think the first step is you just need to start using it, right? So if you are afraid and you don't know how to use it, then just start super low bar. So incorporate it into your daily life, in your personal life. Like ask for ideas to cook a meal, make a grocery list, so you can see the potential and see the benefits of how greatly it can help you to do other stuff, right? Try out new recipes, for example. And once you're comfortable with that, then start to apply that in your corporate environment. And again, that can be very simple, right? Like, please help me summarize this. Like, what are the action items? What is it that I need to do next? Start with the low stakes stuff and then start working your way up. And again, I think there are a lot of free resources out there. I was referring to the Anthropic 101 free prompting workshop. So I think that's good for the basic skills, to upskill yourself. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Judith, for joining us today and sharing your valuable insights and experience with our global audience. We would also like to thank everyone from around the world for participating in today's HR Cap 2026 Go ACE Global Online AI Career Expo expert session. We hope today's discussion has provided practical insights that will support your career growth, professional development, and future opportunities. If you want to connect with Judith, please go ahead and go ahead and listen to her Change Chats podcasts, and we'll also provide her LinkedIn in the description. So please make sure to connect with her, send her some messages, and I know she'll be more than happy to get back to you. And also, please continue to explore the various opportunities, resource, and upcoming sessions available throughout the 2026 GoAce event. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and I hope to see you at our future 2026 GoAce expert sessions. Thank you.
Thank you so much.